Today I'm going to talk on a subject that I realized I was doing it already, but I had to figure out a way how to term it. Because if I just explain it and then don't have a term for it, then it's going to be hard to kind of identify what I'm talking about. So it goes into movement. If you do a movement that's stretching, then it becomes, if you're physically moving in a stretching motion, it becomes external. If you learn to elongate the movement, then it becomes internal. Okay? So the topic of today is movement that's done where you stretch is physical and there's separation. Movement that you do that's elongation, then it becomes internal. Okay. So let's take the one first that where a lot of people do and they may not be aware of it. Or in the beginning when you're practicing, you're going to do it in that light because you're learning how to adjust your body internally to do elongation as opposed to stretching, which is physical. So take, for example, when you're doing gravity drop or even circle energy. When the arms go up, if you're not careful, you're stretching your back. And there's an indentation of your lower back going in. So it's very obvious to me if you're doing it like that. So in circle energy, if I'm not careful and I bring my arms up, any type of stretching is going to lead to the arms physically, independently going up on its own. And as a result, your lower back is going to stretch. Once it stretches, your hips will come out. And once your hips come out, now you have separation. And that's one example. When you're doing gravity drop, same thing. When your arms are raising up, if you're stretching physically, again, your lower back is going to go in. And as a result, you have separation. Once you have separation, then your upper part is doing that movement on its own. It's not connected with the ground any longer. When this is not separated, you feel the energy rebounding up. As it rebounds up, it has to go through the legs and it has to go through the intersection, your waist. But imagine if you stretch your waist, what happens to that energy? It goes to the intersection and now there's no more pathway. There's no more roll. And as a result, when you stretch, now you're going to physically use the arms to bring up to finish circle energy. You don't want to do it that way. When you do the form, the same thing applies. So take, for example, case in hand, when you do press, right? So if you do press and you go forward all the way, now you're stretching. You're physically stretching. But if you sink, you rebound the energy and you let it elongate. Now, elongate also means peng energy. But given another adjective, it changes perhaps how your mind looks at that movement. When you're expanding, yes, it is going out. But when you have the word elongation, now you realize that it's an expansion of the energy that does the stretching, not the physical muscle to do the stretching. So when I do press, I sink, I feel the elongation of the energy coming up my central equilibrium, my Zhongding. As I express, I might slightly go forward and then the movement continues. If I do ward off, which is a very common movement in the any Tai Chi form, I'm not going to stretch the movement out physically. If I do that again, now I'm stretching, which the energy in the midsection, the waist, is going to get separated. So when I do ward off, I sink, I do peng, which is elongation. I elongation as much as I can internally before expanding out and then coming back. If you do that and you elongate the energy, then it changes how the movement will feel internally. So when you do a movement, if you stretch, you're going to separate. If you separate, you're going to have leaking energy. Now let's take elongation. Sounds like a big fancy word, but it means to go out, right? It means to expand. Yes, like what Mary's doing, it means to expand. It really means peng, but elongation, that another adjective word, now it tells you that it's long, it's going out. And that going out is not stretching. It's an internal expansion of energy of how you move your body. And when you do that, now you don't have separation. Because we know with the very common typical saying, from the feet to the waist, to the waist, to the upper body, to all the fingertips. If you stretch physically, now the energy will get lost somewhere along the path because there's going to be independent arm action or body action to move that energy. With elongation, it requires stillness. Let me say that again. With elongation, you must have the stillness within that equation. And when we talk about stillness, it's a quiet mind. The quiet mind that doesn't have to overthink. It's just clear in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, you will feel your Zhongding, your central equilibrium. When the mind is clear, you feel your central equilibrium. Now, when you move and you rotate in the Tai Chi form, it's going to come as a stillness movement, which will allow for you to do elongation, which is a peng energy that is expansion and stretching, but stretching with the energy. That's the difference. If you stretch using the physical force, now you're separated. And very easy to find out if you're stretching with the physical force. 2-person drill. You know right away. See, with elongation stretching, when you deal with the incoming force, what you're going to develop over the course of time, you're going to develop the 5 bows. Your body and torso is always going to be in a position to receive and to release. When you stretch, what's going to happen is that your hips will go forward. Once the hips go forward, now the 2 arms that are receiving energy, it doesn't know what to do with it. And as a result, intuitively, you get further and further away from this harmony that you have with your arms and your body, your legs and your body. It's going to get very confused. That's why you pull, that's why you grab, and that's why you use force. But once you have this connection of elongation, not only can it go out, the good thing is it can come in. See, when Mary or Dana or anybody's trying to find me, I'm also doing elongation to receive in yin. I'm still in stillness, right? The mind is very calm already because it knows how to deal with that energy. So when you're giving me energy, I already know how to take it down as elongation. My body is still very calm and still. That energy knows how to release and go bottom to bottom. So that's how you practice it. So when we're doing the Daily 10 series on those three, you're doing exactly that. When you're doing the stillness position of 1, 2, and 3, when I'm here, I'm constantly sinking. Now, your body weight is energy. You constantly sink that. Once you make your internal adjusted, you're constantly sinking your body weight. You feel that more and more. And now with all the muscle tension, that also learns to release. And as a result, when you feel the sinking, you will also feel the peng energy. The peng energy, you think of it as expansion. Now, because of the word elongation, you add it with the peng, the expansion, now elongation. It feels like long, something going out. It helps your mind to give it this another type of vernacular understanding of how you feel when you're doing peng energy. So as a result, when I'm doing all of these standing stillness positions, I feel internally the elongation is constantly happening all the time. And when I feel it in the stillness training over the course of long term, you learn to recognize that feeling because you want to be in the present moment. And when that happens, that feeling of stillness becomes more and more woven in how you stand. And you get connected with that feeling. And once you recognize that feeling more and more, now when I do the second S, rotational rooting, I feel the same thing. I feel the sinking. And as a result, I feel the peng energy. I feel the elongation. I'm constantly expanding, opening up more and more. And it becomes present at every part of the moment, beginning, middle, and end. When I'm doing the third S, stepping, I also feel the same thing. Once I'm on one leg, I'm sinking, I also feel the peng, the elongation. I keep feeling it. I keep feeling it. Now I rebound to the other leg. And once I sink, again, I feel the peng, I feel the elongation, I feel the sinking. And that feeling becomes more and more relevant in all three S's. And you do that more and more and more, it becomes a part of what you feel when you practice IST. And you may think today, this work could be kind of complicated. You may not understand it totally. That's normal because you keep coming. I'm going to keep talking about it. Sooner or later, you're going to, okay, I'm going to try to figure out what Wayne is saying, right? And as you practice and you plant the seed and you practice and train, you keep on festering on it, it's going to grow. It's going to grow. And it's, time is gong fu is time. If you can understand it right away and apply it right away, then, everybody would get it right away. But it doesn't happen like that. The main thing is to kind of trust that it's part of the system. And, over time, you put in the effort, eventually you will get it. You will get it. Okay. So that's on, so in summary, that's on movement physically. And if you're stretching, you have separation. If you do it with peng energy and elongation, now you're not stretching physically. And this way you're not having leaking energy. And as a result, this constant energy flow becomes more relevant. And we verify again in 2-person drills. If I can move you and you feel like, Wayne, you didn't physically move, how am I moving? Well, that's the elongation. That's the energy that's penetrating. And you feel that more and more. And the more you feel it, the more you recognize it. And that's how it works. Okay? So that's on elongation, expansion, peng. They mean the same. Just giving it more adjectives to describe it. And hopefully it'll resonate with all of you in that light. Okay, good. So that's on today's topic. We do have a few minutes to entertain any questions you might have on what I just talked